All right. Hey, everybody. Wayne and Mark here, and we are in our Thursday session where we take questions, talk about topics that we're excited about, and hopefully engage you with us and have you ask us some really cool questions, any question. And I've got an agenda that I'll follow, and you're seeing a screen that's kind of interesting. It says Gold Camp. Is that right, Mark? Is it showing the Gold Camp screen? Gold Camp is a business that I started back in 1997 when myself and one other operating partner, a friend named Mike Felkins, who had been doing business things with me for about 8 or 9 years prior to that. And Mike was an accountant. I only mention that was because he became the on-site manager at this location, and he lived there full time. And then we had several financial partners, including a fellow that at one time owned more industrial rental equipment locations than anybody in Colorado, maybe even the whole Rocky Mountain area, named Dave Lanahaw. And he sold that to a big company called United Rentals. And he then spent time helping us with the development of this site, mainly financially, but also with a little bit of physical help also. And then the guy whose name you've heard me mention a number of times, Stu Lichter. And Stu is also our partner on this project. So this was very typical. It's the kind of thing that we do and that I recommend that you think about doing in your lives. That is, find niches that are something that excite you, that fit into your talent set, and then try to find business opportunities in those areas. So this was a very rundown mobile home park with 21 sites, all of which were full with mobile homes. It's funny because 5 of them, I think, had policemen in them from the local area. And Mark, could you pull up a Google map or whatever you're using for your mapping of Buena Vista, Colorado? And we'll switch to your screen for a minute because I want to show the location of this site. So Buena, Buena, I'll find it. I'll get it. So this site was in Buena Vista, Colorado. I'll pull it up here. It actually wasn't right in Buena Vista. It was in between Buena Vista and Leadville, which, as I get the map here, you'll see. You need to hit that code sign, Colorado, to Colorado, and I'm going to just do a search here, and I'll look for the map. So there's the map. Buena Vista is a town in the Mountain Valley, Colorado, and here you're seeing the map of it. There's Buena Vista. I'll scroll out. And maybe this time it'll fill in here and you'll see, not quite yet. Oh yeah, you do. This is Denver. So it doesn't, there we go. Now it's layered. So that's Denver. Buena Vista is about a 2-hour drive from Denver. Last week, remember, we spent a lot of time looking at a Google image of my location. I'm up here in between Longmont and it's not showing it, but Loveland is right here, and I'm sort of right about there. So the time in which this project and the site that we owned it was from 1997. We acquired it in November of 1997, and we operated it through 2006. I'm going to teach you about several different tools today that I haven't talked about even before. One of them being called the Wayback Machine, which just allows you to find images of and websites of different topics that don't exist any longer. So they're archived. And that site that we started with, we were seeing Goldcamp, that was goldcamp.com, which doesn't exist anymore. That web page is non-existent. It hasn't for a long time, more than 10 years. And it did back when we acquired this site and operated. So now I'll scroll, I'll go back out again and show you that Leadville is right up here. And here's Buena Vista. This is Highway 24, and it is 33 miles between two. And this right here is a little reservoir. I'll expand this in a second. And then these are a little bit bigger reservoirs. Reservoir means an artificially made lake. So it's got a dam on it that backs up water from a creek. And it is, about 2 miles long, and maybe at its widest about 3/4 of a mile. And I'll scroll in. I'll start to see this Granite is a little town that has one restaurant, a fire station, and no, it doesn't even have a gas station. I think it has a church, but that's it. It's about it. And this is the little reservoir. I'm going to scroll, and you can see its name here in a second. It's called Clear Creek, and I'm going to go to a satellite image in a minute, but scroll out first. This property that composed Goldcamp was a couple hundred acres. I can't remember exactly the size, but it started about right here. This is the Arkansas River. This goes all the way to the Missouri River and out to the Atlantic Ocean. And it starts, zoom out a little bit here, not too far from this site. It starts right up this way, right about in here, and then flows down and goes past Leadville, and then right along this highway 24, and past Granite, and past Clear Creek Reservoir, then down this way and goes all the way down to what's called Pueblo, Colorado, down south, and then it flows east towards the Arkansas, or excuse me, towards the Missouri River. And it's a pretty good sized river, and you'll see some images of it here. But scroll back into this Goldcamp site, which again started right here. We had over a mile of the river that was on the property. So the property was on this side of the highway, right up to about right here. Then it went over on this side, went up the hillside and over here. And this is called Pine Creek. And where Pine Creek comes in to the Arkansas, we were about another quarter mile below it where our property stopped. Property on this side of the river was about where the cursor is here, going up, and then it went to about there. And now I'll switch to satellite mode in terms of viewing. And my other screen is in the way. So I'll find it. Here we go. Go to satellite mode. And I'll actually be able to scroll or zoom in far enough that you will see what it looks like now. I said it started right about here, crossed. And again, it was a mobile home park. First bought it in 1997. We converted that mobile home park to a outdoor adventure camp. Built a restaurant. We built a number of campsites with tents, panel tents, so more like they call it glamping today. Very, very nice. We had 2 cabins. We had a store, and we built a restaurant, and we had an adventure tower. I'll show you that. But the site, mobile home site, was right here, right along this little road. Shoot, something just fell down behind me. Who's that? Wow, some stuff fell off. A bunch of my stuff. I don't collect them myself, but I used to collect comic books. These are some classic comic books, and they're going to be put in our store because I'm going to talk about something else that we've been doing recently that I think you all ought to know about, which is called Harvest Hosts. And people that work with us on that adventure will love things like these comic books. Anyway, for whatever reason, a whole pile of stuff fell down. So let's just zoom a little bit more here. This is a roadway coming in, and it ends right here. Actually does go back out to the highway. This highway has over 30,000 vehicles a day travel on. This is highly traveled. There's a ridge right about here. This is a power line. So this is about 500 or 600 feet elevation higher here. And again, this is where it used to be the mobile home park. And we converted it into campsites, and we actually built homes there. And we have staff that lived in them. At our peak, which was in 2002, and by the way, I was wrong. Now I got it wrong. This is where, this was the road that mobile home park was on. Here was the entrance. I got to come way back. The entrances, I was off a lot. Here's the entrance right here. Mobile homes were all along here, down to about here. Then there's another entrance here. This is new. I'm not even sure what this is. We had some horse stables right down here, and there now is a zip line all along through here. I think I can go. You can see these are rock cliffs. See if you can see the zip line. Doesn't look like you can. My home that I'm sitting in now, my office, which is a modular, used to sit about right, probably here, somewhere in this area. And again, this was our store right here. This was a restroom facility. This was the restaurant that we built. This was the original residence on the property that we converted into a storage building. And then the campsites that we built were all up here, this area. And we had what was called an alpine tower. I'll show that to you in just a minute right here. Again, remember the property went across the river. So this is a suspension bridge, walking suspension bridge across the river right here. We would have nighttime gatherings at a really cool campfire area that we had right down here. This back in the 1920s was gold mined. So thus the name Gold Camp, which is what we called it. Had a pretty cool little pond right up here. See in a second, right here. This picture looks like it's dry. I don't think it was actually dry. I don't know when this image was taken, but this is an old rail track which has been abandoned for probably 40 years. And at some point they'll turn it into what's called rails to trails, but it isn't converted to that yet. And again, I'm going to zoom out for a minute just to show all the property. So again, it started up here. We had this, there's a cliff here that we called Eagle's Nest, and had all kinds of rock climbing routes all over it. And it was all over here. We had all kinds of adventure courses built over on this side of the river. And then Pine Creek comes in right about, let's see. It's hard to tell. I think Pine Creek might be right here going. This might be the, yeah, that's right here. This is Pine Creek right up here. And so I'm telling this whole story because I have a history of starting projects on distressed properties. This property had a lower value than it could potentially have because of the mobile home park, where, as I mentioned, there are 5 policemen, and the other 17, we used to joke, and it wasn't completely true, but it was close to the truth. The other 17 residents, or 16, were criminals. So a lot of time you'll have policemen living right where the criminals live, because that way they can apprehend them and get them during that time frame. So it's kind of a interesting mix. People living some same sorts of areas. Mark, make sure to tell me if we have questions or comments related to any of the topics that we're going through. Also, so beautiful, beautiful area, and one that I still visit a lot. Usually try to get up there at least once or twice a year. Amazing fishing on this river here. And so this is sort of the aerial of it. So now let's go back to website. So this is that Eagle's Nest that I mentioned. This is straight up rock face here. And there were climbing routes all along it. Yet you could climb up to it without having to rock climb by kind of climbing around. There was a trail up to it. It was over this way. It's a second trail kind of over this way up to it. And then the mobile home park that was converted to our camp was about from where we're taking this picture from. So we just sort of, this is the home page. Go to some of the other pages here. Again, this is a site. Look at the URL here, called archive.org, and it's called the Wayback Machine. And you can go in and look for any web domain name that you know, and you can find previous, even if it doesn't exist anymore, you can find what it looked like at another point in time. So a corporate edge is a partnership that we had, a group out of Texas that would come up and help us in the summers when it was ridiculously hot down in Texas, and do our challenge course and outdoor adventure things, which I'll show in just a minute. And experiential education is the kinds of things that we would do, where again it says first we talk, the orientation period, then we play, and then we do processing of what went on, and then we do more challenging things. And depending on how long group was there, see how much we would do. Give one example, a company called Minute Maid that makes drinks. Most of you have probably had a Minute Maid drink because they're all over the world, aren't they, Mark? Do you guys have Minute Maid? It's a Coca-Cola company. You have Minute Maid drinks. Minute Maid orange juice is well known all over the world. And anyway, their board of directors was one of the groups that came up and spent, I think, 3 days with us. And we had this one challenge test that they would do where they stood on a log and they had a plank, a piece of wood, 2 by 8, that anybody in the group could carry. And I think there were 10 people in this board of directors. And out away from the log, about 2 feet farther away than the length of this board, was a cup on the ground. And he would tell the group, go stand on the log and strategize. And the goal is, you are a tribe who lives on the Amazon River. You're on an island, and a deadly disease hits your tribe, and that disease causes death eventually. But before death, you either lose your voice or your vision or both. And you can't ever predict whether you're going to lose them before you die, or you're not, and you might lose one and not the other. And again, you can't ever predict what's going to happen. So you guys are the tribe standing on the log, and you have to get this potion. And the only tool you can use is this plank that we give them, this piece of wood. And if you also fall off the island, there are dangerous fish that will eat you immediately. So if you fall off the log, if you are not, you can be sitting on it, standing on it, laying on it, we don't care. But if any part of your body touches the ground, the log was probably this tall, so it wasn't dangerous. This was a very safe operation. And remember, these are board members, so they probably ranged in age from 70 down to 50 or something, aren't young people. If you fall in, you're going to die. So rarely did we ever have a group that could do this in their first attempt, because we also told them that those of us that were organizing this were going to be playing God, and we would strike them with either blindness, which is where we put a bandana around them, blindfold, or we would have them lose their voice, and means they couldn't talk anymore. They couldn't talk to the other members of the team. And so they would go through this, and I don't remember how many times this Minute Maid group failed, but it was at least once, if not more than once. And then eventually they'll get it done, but they rarely get it done without our help. And they have to balance this plank on the log, and they have to position people depending on how much they weigh and balance it. And we would almost always be, not only would we strike them with either blindness or losing their voices, or they would fall off the log, sometimes intentionally, sometimes they just wanted to die, wanted to be out of the game. And anyway, again, I don't exactly remember, but I do remember very vividly when it was all over, And I happened to be there that time, and I would, so you see this, it's telling me I don't have a good enough signal. I should turn off my, I've got my computer in a different place than I normally do. That I normally do. It's usually computers to the right of my screen, and I've got it right in the middle of my screen now, so I got to figure out which way to go. But anyway, at the end, we would process with them. So this is a adventure education here. By the way, this is called an Alpine Tower we had that people would go. That was 70 feet tall. I'll have another slide and show it better. And we would do these same kinds of team building events on them. So this Minute Maid board, these guys were yelling at each other. I mean, there were 2 women and 8 men, I think. Women weren't, and they were just all upset because they couldn't get this game right. So when it was all over, we literally would start to question the whole group. We process. So I remember vividly asking the group, how did you guys all feel when this was going on? Did you think the leadership worked? Because it was the chairman of the board who was doing the leadership, as you might imagine. And they didn't say anything. And then finally I said, come on, I sensed that a lot of you did not like the decisions that board chairman was making. And then finally one of them spoke up and said, no, I didn't like the decisions at all. And matter of fact, I don't like hardly any of the decisions that guy ever makes. Matter of fact, I don't even like him at all. And it was just, whoa, all this stuff is coming out. Anyway, that's what experiential education is, and adventure education involves. So we did that here at Gold Camp. In the summer of, I think it was 2001, we had 80 staff members, so that would be helping with these things. And we'd have 10 groups at the same time that would be staying there. So this picture shows some rock climbing, which we would do in groups, and rock climbing is an amazing thing to do with teams to teach them how well they get along with each other. And then this is this Alpine Tower. I'll have a couple more pictures of it. So then this is going to be some pictures of the rock walls that are around the camp. Here's the one that we saw before, and there's a couple of people climbing, 3 people here all the way down. This is probably 150 feet up to there. Here's somebody on the rock. That's above vertical, so it's slanted backwards where that person is climbing. And that's really all the pictures there. So then let's show whitewater a bit. This is the river that was flowing through. We had rafting, and that's me on the front of the raft right there. This is one of our staff here, and then this is the oars person, and this was some of the people on one of the groups that were staying there. And then the picture down below here is something called a hydrobonk. That's in a rapid, and you would sit in the middle of it, stand up on like a treadmill, like a hamster wheel, and it would roll, and then you would spin it, and you would go down the river. It's very cool, and we were unique in having them in our part of it. And like I said, there was lots of hiking kinds of things. That one doesn't look like you can find it. See if there's pictures of the fishing side. Fly, and then there's not really any good pictures of the river right here. We did mountain biking. That's my son on a mountain bike going over a rock, tree. And then here's the tower that I was talking about before. I called it 70, I guess it was 60 feet tall. It's very cool. We had all the way from 2 years old. This is a 2-year-old. And I don't remember if this was this is a guy, but we had a 73-year-old lady. I'm 70 now, and I feel like I could go up on that tower anytime. And here's an example of the cabins and the tents. So that was one of the kind of fancy panel tents that we had. And here's our cabins. We're here on the left. I said 2, we actually had 3 of them. 1, 2, 3, and then this was our tent camping area. It was really very nice. And our restaurant was called the River Rock Inn. It had 5-star meals, group meals for to 100 different people. And again, 80 staff at some given time. So that was 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, back in the early 2000s. Here we are 20 years later. We're about to do something like that at a site in South Dakota called X Point. And this next view is going to show that. And this is their X Point's website as it looked in 2020. So it's changed some. But here's the site. It's 11,570 acres, very large. It's just south of the Black Hills in South Dakota. There'll be a bigger map here to see that on just a second. So Manhattan, the island's 22 square miles, and this is 18. And so it's 3/4 the size of Manhattan. It was at one time a military base storing ammunition in these bunkers, which there are 575 of them. And there are roads that go to the front of each of them. This is the front of the bunker. And so you aren't seeing the roads here. I'll show you close up. Here's the door of one of the bunkers. The bunkers were 26 feet wide. So from here over to here is 26 feet. The floor is down here. I'll show you some pictures inside them. They're 13 feet tall, here to here, and 80 feet long, going that way. And they will, they have filtration for the air that you breathe when you're in them that can make them completely nuclear radiation proof, and but allow you to live inside them for extended periods of time. They are constant 60 degrees because they're completely covered with 2 to 3 feet of soil. There's going to be a picture. There we go. That's the minimum. That's 2 feet. Then there's obviously a lot more out here at the sides. And there's an example of a way that one could be configured if it would be a barracks type, where multiple bedrooms, open space, and a kitchen set up in front. Here's a little more fancy look, where there's a living area. This one for, say, a family. Bedrooms back here, behind here, and this is the kitchen and the dining room area, and open space, and office area up here. Yeah. 2020, you could buy one of these bunkers for, and actually 2018 through 35,000. They're now selling for 45,000, and they're going to raise the price to 55,000 in about 2 weeks to a month. And you can outfit them, do with them what you want yourself, or the company will do it. So we at Seed have become partners now of X Point and Vivos. And I'll show here. So here's going to be the location. Just a second, just taking just a second to load. Here is where this site is located, just south of the Black Hills, which are right here in South Dakota. And I live almost exactly 300 miles away, 294 miles, right down about here. So that's a 300-mile radius from that site to a variety of locations. And essentially, this graphic is showing that everywhere in country is within about 1,500 miles or less of this site. There's just without all those circles in them. And where this Evo site is. So that's kind of a map of it. And so I'll go to some images now. These were taken yesterday and the day before. I was up there with one of my local partners yesterday and the day before. This is the backside of a bunker. There, again, remember, there's 575 of them. And this particular owner, this is his truck, and he's actually in this excavator over here. He doesn't have his hood open because he's got a problem. He's using his battery to actually charge something. I'm going to blow this picture up because you're going to see that this is the concrete back of this bunker, and he's putting a door in right here. So let's see. Oh, that's what the concrete looks like. This looks like a chimney. It's not what it is. That's actually where airflow comes from the front of the unit and up and then gets filtered and goes out. It's a one-way air movement. So we're going to go through a bunch of slides pretty quickly and describe each of them to just a certain extent. This is one that has been occupied for some period of time. I don't know exactly how long. This particular owner of this bunker put solar panels here. We're actually going to put more out here. This is a portable generator here. There's a satellite dish here to get satellite. This is the front of the bunker. We're going to see some other pictures of the door. This was the back that you saw in that previous picture. Just another view of the same thing. Some of these are going to be repetitive. This is at a little bit more of a distance just to show you what some of the terrain looks like. It's a beautiful area. It's rolling prairies. There are antelope throughout the area, elk. There's not bison because they became almost extinct in the U.S. They are being reintroduced, and not very far from here. Here there are now wild herds of bison, but not right here. Again, that's somebody's trailer. Actually, might be mine. I took some images because I took a travel trailer up there the day before yesterday. This is 4.5 hours from where I live. That's a bunker behind it. There is a roadway going to a bunker. In a lot of cases, some of the soils come off the top of them. It's really easily replaced. This is actually what they call a foxhole. These were built in 1942, right when World War II started. And they, if you remember, World War II started on December 7th, 1941. And they started construction of this site right after that, maybe the following week. And it was occupied in October of 1942. There were 575 bunkers were completely built. Over 100 miles of roadway was built. Oh, these foxholes, that square building there, would then be a place where if this ever got attacked, which it never did, obviously the U.S. did not get attacked, then people could go into those foxholes and they would be able to fend off potential invaders. This is a shop building that's built next to a bunker. There's a wind machine on top of the bunker. There's a propane tank here. Again, Mark, make sure to tell me if any of our audience has got questions or comments. Another view of that same location, third view. Here's inside. Every one of the bunkers, when it's cleaned out, and over time, these were built in 1942, there has been dust and dirt and such that's accumulated. this is where that, what I call the chimney is in the back. Guy that was putting the door into the back, that door would have gone probably about right here. Again, this is 13 feet high, the center here. There's a 6-inch wide and deep trough along the side where a lot of people will run their electrical wires, and plumbing, and so on. This one happens to have some cracks. It's very easily sealed, but today's costs, there's over $45,000 of concrete if you were going to try to build one of these from the ground up today. Just the concrete. So this was my partner, John Holliday, who was my quarry manager, and a guy named Tom Soulsby, who has lived at this site for 3 years and actually owned his bunker for a longer period of time. This is one that he was showing us. There was actually water brought to all of these occupied ones. This is the water line. So you could put a tap right out here and it actually goes inside also. I think that's the same unit that we just looked at. This is a video, so I'm going to play this. I think you'll be able to hear it. How long it is, it's not very long.
So that's
We got to turn this up. So there. So they made a really neat use of corrugated metal rather than sheetrock on the walls.
food production unit. So it's
I'm
got
talking about our food production unit here. So this is a bedroom right here. That's a bed, bunk bed with one bed up on top, one down below it. It's a bathroom right over there. Apologize, there's a phone call coming. There's another bedroom with a computer right there. Isn't this cool the way they used silver metal walls instead of sheetrock? And again, I'm talking over this because I don't need to hear. This is the living area. And they're remodeling this one. This had been occupied. They're remodeling it now for doing a little different configuration.
dioxide.
So I'm just describing it. We'll move on here to the next slide. This is a wood stove, wood burning stove that will heat. So because he's maintained a temperature of 60 degrees, even when it's below zero outside, you don't need to heat very much to get to a real comfortable temperature of about 70 degrees. So in the winter, this could be a wood stove that would be used, that probably used a minimal amount of wood just to heat up the unit. There's a view of what I had the video up for with this really cool look. Because these ceilings are 13 feet tall, there's a lot of storage room up above here. So they're 80 feet long and 26.5 feet wide, which is about 2,200 square feet, quite large. And you're looking back towards the front door of this one. That was this remodeling work that was being done. So there's the kitchen area and the dining room. Again, this is the living area that's being. This is the nuclear radiation filtration unit that they have. So the air coming in, these things are sealed up tighter than a drum, and the air coming in would be filtered by this equipment right here, so that even if there was a nuclear blast and there was radiation in the air, this would filter that out. These are propane tanks just for storage and potential use if you had to be inside. These are the doors on the front that are blast proof. This is the door here. Most people add a second door behind the blast door. Can't apologize. This is one being remodeled in the process, so it's not yet been lived in. This one's a little different configuration. That's looking at the blast door. This is where the kitchen's going to be in this one. This will be a living area over here. So the elevated floor, because there's a little bit of a crown in the natural concrete floor. It's about 4 inches over that 26.5 feet. Some people just leave that and use that flooring. Others will add this new flooring. So that's, again, my partner John walking through. This is that radiation, where the radiation filtration unit's going to be put. It's not there yet. That you saw the picture of the other photo with the on there. This is just insulation on the front wall. Power coming in, all from solar and other generator use. So this is completely off grid here. There's batteries that are going to be in this new unit. This is where the nuclear radiation filtration. This is the water side. So this is where the water is going to come in. Right there is the water coming in. And lines are actually going under the floor, but there'll be a storage tank over here, and that's a compressor, a pump that will pump water throughout the. There's the blast door. And this particular configuration, there's, I'll call it a mud room in the front that is on both sides here. Washer or dryer on one side, and place to put hang up your coat and do all kinds of things over here on the other side. Here's a generator. It's a 10K generator for this particular unit. By the way, this is a car, the Cadillac that I bought at an auction back about a month ago for, I think I mentioned it, for a really unbelievably cheap price, for as good as the truck is. These are bunkers in the distance here, additional ones. There's a roadway. This is my bunker right here. That's my travel trailer that's parked out in front of it. Right there is our bunker. We're also going to own this one on the other side of it, and several others around here for a community that we're creating. Actually, back up to that one. We're going to show this video. So again, I'll talk over this. You'll hear a little bit of me in the background. I'm going to mute this. So this is going to be panoramic. And so it's looking from near where our bunker is. This is the high point on the site right over here. It's about 300 feet elevation higher than down here where we're at. I'm going to circle here in a view. Kind of do a whole circle. There's one of those potholes that I mentioned, foxholes, excuse me. These are on the same roadway. So again, this is a roadway that goes around this particular section, and then there's a roadway right in front of these units. This was at just a little after dawn, so it was probably, sun came up at about 5:05. This was about 6:10 or so. And it's hazy because there's fires up in Canada right now. And that's where that haze is coming. Just looking around and just showing you how far apart these bunkers are. You're in this location, you feel like you're in the, this is downhill a little ways over this way. So there's a creek that runs here called Cottonwood Creek. ran through this area, say. It's a bridge across what's called the circle route that goes all the way around the site. It is flat, beautiful there right now. So that's, I think we're coming right back around. This is about, all right, let's go to the next. Here is a guy just yesterday who's putting spray foam, insulating the side. And you don't have to do that from a heat perspective, but one of the things is there's an echo inside this. This is that chimney that I talked about at the far end. Door is right behind me where I'm standing. That's the company that does the spray foam. Again, this is our unit. That's my truck, my dog truck, our trailer, and our car is not in the, no, we're in the car here. That's inside our unit. They're gonna clean that all out for us. This is because there's cattle. There's 1,000 head of cattle that graze all throughout this area. And if the door got left open, they'll go in it. Well, this is not, sounds bad, but it's up to them to clean it out. And then they're going to put it in a pile, and we have all this amazing cow manure for fertilizer. So we're excited about it. That's just another same thing. There's our generators that we use when we travel. So 2 daisy chained together Honda 2K generators. So that gives us a total of 4K, which is more than enough to even use an air conditioner, a microwave oven, toaster, you name it, all kinds of electronics, more than enough power. That's the dog truck that I was talking about. Here's our cell phone booster. It's just a little antenna that you can use. There's some electronics in the unit. This is the car that left there. So it's still up there. So is the travel trailer. This is Tom's truck. It's actually taking a trip that we made 2 weeks ago to it. And these are units that I'm going to be converting into a store, to an aquaponics facility, to a mushroom production facility, to a conference center, and to a shop, and a variety of other uses that will be for the community that's living here. Oh, another video I can show here. Some of this is not going to be that good. I'll talk over it again. This is looking into a different bunker. It's actually the one right next door to where we're at. This is some fencing that's sitting on the ground in there. Again, cow manure on the floor, not thick. That's like less than a ½ inch thick in most places. But you take that through the whole unit, and that's enough to put over as soil amendment for a little urban farm. I'm gonna go outside in a minute. That's mainly what I want to see is. So do you see any questions, Mark, from anybody in the audience? Comments? Yeah, Mount Rushmore is within about 35, 40-minute drive of the site. It's beautiful. The Black Hills that are right near here. I'm gonna go, you'll see I'm gonna go outside and walk around. Keep going, Mark. What other comments? So this was taken a couple weeks ago, both this video and the last image. Look how beautiful the grass is there. I guess I didn't get any real pictures of the cattle all over it. That was Tom's truck, and then that red truck is also mine. I'm going to walk up on the top of this now, I think. Again, I wasn't really intending to show this to anybody, but I am showing it now, and not a good videographer. That's a lightning rod that actually every one of the units has. So this is in a second here. I'll be up on top, and you'll be able to get a view out around there. Why I focused on this lightning rod? Oh, I was pointing it out to Tom. It's made of copper. That grass is just lush. It's amazing for cattle. I think I was intentionally taking a picture of the grass. Grows in clumps like that. Thought I'm going to walk, I think, along the top here. There's Deb out on the site, my wife. Again, the one we ended up buying is right next door to this one. It's about 150 yards this way. This is that creek that runs back behind. Sort of viewing out. Let's go to the next one. This is the one that we ended up buying, actually. So it's walking into it. So the soil, that's actually the manure out of another one. That's this one that the cattle had gotten into. And they actually did clean out the manure. And so this one's actually clean on the inside there. That's what's called broom clean. You still would want to power wash it before you'd occupy it, but that was the trough that I mentioned along the side. A little bit, one from a distance, a bunch of others. It's Tom's truck. Deb inside of you. Those are floors, and they can get cracks because these were built in 1942, long time ago. What is that? 80 years. But yet, that's not much damage. It's easily fixed. This is where the guy Tom mentioned lives. He had a pergola out here that a windstorm blew down. These are the pieces that are on the top of it. He hadn't repaired it yet. This is a new septic system being put in at one of the. He's showing us another one where he's opening the door. Just looking at the sunset in the area. So our truck can actually work dogs right here. This is really cool. Look again, there's all kinds of wild animals. Cattle grazing in a lot of these fields also. Yeah, that's the last picture. Last view. This is, I just talk about the area. This is actually where they called it Fort Igloo. This was a water tower for the old fort. So this all closed in 1967. And these were buildings that officers and others. At its peak, during World War II, there were 7,000 people here. So why do I show all this? This is an economic project. This is one that we want to do and duplicate all over the world. I'll show you next week one that we're also working on right now in Boise, Idaho, called Canyon Creek. And it's a smaller, this one's 10,000 acres, that one's going to be 220 acres, but still we'll have people living there. They'll be able to have all kinds of amenities, during good times, but they'll be prepared also for bad times. And these sites would be off. I'm going to see if there's any questions. I don't know what Mark's doing here. Speed. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Alicia. Put you the links. I don't know what Mark's doing, but I'm going to go ahead and log us out. See you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day, the rest of the week.